All right, today I'm going to talk about the fear of success and the fear of failure and how to handle those things so that you have the freedom to pursue your goals the way you want or fulfill your goals the way you want, however you want, materialize, manifest them. You're going to have trouble doing that if you have fear of success or fear of failure. So let's take a look at what that looks like. Um, with my students, I go through a process where we look at reasons why we want to have a goal and why we don't want to have a goal. And like you might say, well, I want to have this goal because, my life will be a lot better. But, but I don't want to have this goal. Like maybe you want to have a relationship. It's like, well, be fun, have somebody to hold hands with. That's a positive. Why you want to have it. And and we look at where that desire comes from. And we just let go of the desire, the wanting of it, because when you say, I want it, well, you don't have it. And like I like to say, we create from our state. So when we let go of the idea of, God, if only I could have this, and instead we let go of that activity of wanting it, and suddenly we're experiencing the state of having it. And in that state of having it, then we see how to have it, how to get it. So we don't go, this is a very hard thing for a lot of human beings to understand, that we don't go from dissatisfaction and then to satisfaction. The state of satisfaction is our choice. And yet, from that state of satisfaction, then we see things in the world. We see the same set of information, we see it differently. And that's the beauty of using goal setting techniques and the kinds of things I teach. And of course, it helps to have somebody who's got experience on the kind of conventional side, the getting things done side as well, because sometimes you can achieve things just with inner game, but sometimes it helps to have some outer game. And if you're like a professional athlete, you want to have a coach that works on your outer game as well, both sides. So we're looking at why you might want to have a relationship. Then we look and say, well, why would I not want to have a relationship? Well, it's because last relationship didn't turn out so well, and I'm afraid of what'll happen, and it's just not worth the trouble, and those things. And then that's coming from another want, maybe like a want of control. And we practice letting go of that activity of just wanting control so that we're in a state of peace in a general way and going back and forth. Why would I like to have it? Why would I not like to have it? And then at the end, I ask my students to look really closely. Imagine that from the success side, imagine no matter what you do, you can succeed. And the student I was coaching, she wanted to have $2,000 more a month, and she wanted to use that money to go visit her children. And first we imagine always being successful, and how much out of a scale of 1 to 100, how okay would you be with that? And it wasn't right at 100. You'd think you want the goal, the money, and if you had it, everything would be fine. But actually there was a little twinge of concern because she had this feeling like, in a way, the more money she would have, the more people would be nagging her for money, and then how would she cope with that? And so that's fear of success right there. And what we did is we looked at that and we released the negative emotions until she was really able to see that she could be at peace, even if people nagged her for money, even if, ABC were to happen. Or maybe it wasn't going to be enough money. That's another one. We set money goals, and the first thing the mind says is that's not enough. So then we looked at the negative side, and she was having a little difficulty really visualizing failing. I mean, she could see it, but it wasn't of all that much intensity. And I asked her, I said, well, why do you really want the money? And she said, well, because I want to use that. I've got 3 children. They're kind of grown up, and they live in different parts of the country than where I live, and I want to be able to go visit them several times a year. And so we looked at that from the perspective of no matter what you do, you can't fail, you always succeed. And then we looked at the other side. I said, well, now imagine no matter what you do, you just always fail. You just never make the goal. And that really dragged up the negative thoughts and feelings. And see, we don't want to look at those. That's why we don't set goals, because these are deeply buried, strong emotional feelings about failure. And so we worked on that for a while. And because our mind says if you could be okay with failing, then you'll fail. But it's the opposite. It's that, and as we worked on it, she was able to be at peace. Even if she tried as hard as she could and failed, she could be at peace with herself, because in a lot of ways, goals aren't exactly in our control. We're setting an intention, we're following our plans, we're, looking for inspiration, doing the best we can, but that doesn't mean it'll work. So we have to really be okay with failure to pursue anything of any meaning. And so as she got okay with that, suddenly things really cleared up. And from that point of view, she was able to commit to working on the plan. And so this was sort of almost one of the fallacies that, because of the lack of money and because that she didn't have the money already, and also this latent fear of failure, she never sat down with a pen and paper and actually calculated how much money she would need. And also she still had children at home, and, how would she organize the time? So there's some planning that would go into succeeding with the goal. In a lot of ways, that planning, if you don't even have the desire to do the planning and face what that's telling you, like, this doesn't look like it's going to work or whatever, you're going to have trouble getting to a solution that is workable in the conventional world sense of achieving goals. So by freeing up herself from the fear of success and the fear of failure, now suddenly she was able to commit to doing the work of planning and really seeing what it looks like. And like most goals like this, there's an aspect of language. So the more that we're clear on the details, what would it really look like to have this happen? And what do I need? Do I need money? Do I need time? Do I need a permission from my boss? We don't know until we start looking at those plans. So that was a small example of a success. And when I say small, really there's no such thing as big and small. They all come from the same general root. We have a vision, but to some level we're afraid of having it, and at the same time we're afraid of not having it. When you clear up those attachments and aversions to the goal, suddenly you have this peaceful view, and you can just choose to have it just because you say so, not because you need to, because you gotta. And then that leads into being able to achieve commitments, not because you need to or you gotta, but just because that's how you want your life to go. You decided and you follow it. So thanks for listening. Like and subscribe. Enter any questions down below and I'll answer them. And if you'd like to work with me, go to the show notes and book a 15-minute discovery call with me. Okay, thanks again.